Hey, girlfriends and guy friends. Welcome to your boyfriend's best girlfriend channel. I have been gone from blogging for quite a while. I used to blog about 10 years ago. Yeah, I think it's been that long. I left blogging to focus on my career because in real life, I'm an attorney and that took up most of my time. So I set my blogging down for quite a while. But I recently decided to get back into it. So, a little background, I used to practice family law some time ago, and I also moonlighted as a pseudo journalist, I guess you would say. So, I interviewed celebrities, athletes, some music artists, and then actually, some actors and actresses. I forgot about that. And I used to do radio. And at that time, I was a professional writer working for an entertainment company, doing celebrity interviews, basically. And I also ran a blog, Your Boyfriend's Best Girlfriend. That blog was based on kind of my life as a tomboy growing up with guy friends. And it just evolved over time because I was also writing. And then I took to YouTube briefly, so I still have some old videos up. I never really got deeply into YouTube, probably like I could have. I did a brief stint of reality reviews, I think at one point in time, mostly on my blog. So they were written, they weren't on YouTube. And this was back in the day when Basketball Wives first premiered, I think. And there was a Football Wives at the time. And Chili, who was actually my first celebrity interview, had her dating show, What Chili Wants. I think you remember that show where she had the list of like 36 things. We had a really long, in depth conversation about that back at that time. It's been so long ago. But anyway, I decided recently to hop back on YouTube and I may give it more effort than I did the first time. We shall see. So, what brought me back to YouTube? I, I needed a creative outlet. And for me, talking to people and writing and trying to write positive, healthy topics and touching on popular culture, but kind of giving it a spin based on my background. So, again, I was a family law attorney for some time. And I was also a DV advocate. I was a legal DV expert on local radio for about 3 years and a healthy relationships proponent. And so that is how I wrote. Those are the topics I wrote about. I'm really into politics, law, and I'm probably the worst pop culture person because I don't follow a lot of people like that. I know a lot of people have like celebrities, they just have to know everything about their lives. That is not me. I see stuff, I comment on it, and I kind of move on. However, one show that I've recently been into, and I think been into more on social media than the actual show itself, is Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I started watching it when it debuted. For one, because I'm from down south. If you can't hear it in my accent, I am from down south. And so I was like, oh, a new show about youngish couples. Like they're around, I think, late 30s, early 40s. So, kind of in my demographic. And they were moving and shaking. And so I started watching that show back when it debuted. But as it took a turn around season, I guess it's season 3, because Warner Brothers their promo department has it listed at season 5 now, but I swear that show has been on longer than 5 seasons. I may be wrong, but the season that debuted on May 4th, they have it listed as season 5, which is weird because I swear I stopped watching in season 3. Who knows? But anyway, I watched the season premiere for this season 5, 6, 7, 8, not whatever season it is, on Saturday. And I watched it because I've been following the social media back and forth. And I wanted to jump in because there are some things, some commentary that has gone on that I just find somewhat disturbing. And I thought I would take time to address a few things, only because I have followed some of the social media, some of the court, and just a lot of the shenanigans going back and forth. And I'm like, wait a minute, people, this is not making any sense. Like the way they talk about I'll call them the protagonist and the antagonist. So the protagonist, Melody Shari Rogers, the antagonist, Martell Holt, I think is his middle name, LeVar. So anyway, nevertheless, that couple tends to spark a lot of conversation, or I should say that former couple. They spark a lot of conversation, a lot of controversy, and quite frankly, they struck a chord with me based on my background. And not my personal background as far as like I've never been in a DV relationship. I haven't had that type of situation. However, I have had that happen around me, and that is actually what spurred me to become a DV advocate, just because I have lost some people to domestic violence, and I've volunteered as a pro bono DV attorney, and I have that, I guess, that professional life as well as personal life in that aspect experience. And of course, like I said, I'm an attorney, and so I've read some of the court documents from their case, some things that have been posted online, some things I actually saw in the public record, but not all. And I wanted to address that primarily with this show. And I don't plan on doing any show reviews. Who knows? I may not. But I actually just wanted to, with this re-entry into YouTube, I wanted to address some of the things from that show, from the season debut and the off-screen activities of this alternative reality show. So that is what my first re-entry into YouTube will be about. Please stay tuned. Keep listening. I'm going to go into the conversation about season 11. I don't know what season this is. And my commentary on the controversy about Martell's arrest and the activities around said arrest. And feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I know people will. Like, comment, and share. If you like how I talk about the topic, come back. I'll talk about other topics going forward. I may or may not address this show again. I don't know. But keep listening. So let's get into it. From me following the demise of Martell and Melody's relationship during the first seasons, the first 3 seasons of the show, I've also followed the mishaps online and the back and forth online between the two, them and like periphery people. So I'll call the mistress a periphery person. As this show opened up for this season, everyone is talking about Martell Holt's arrest. So let's talk about that arrest. And I don't want to say debunk. I don't know these people. I don't know the ins and outs of the court case. I just know what has been documented in the court files. And I can tell you this. absent a recording of what has occurred in the court, what has been produced by way of evidence, you won't know the nitty gritty of what happened in the court cases. This has been there. I can't remember when they got divorced. I want to say they were divorced maybe 3.5 years ago. But post divorce, I recall seeing on social media, because I follow content creators and their commentary on the shows. I recall seeing the back and forth. So the first thing I remember after they divorced was when Martell followed Melody on a date. I think he saw her on a date and he recorded her in the family's favorite restaurant. This sticks out to me because it was just so odd. I remember her confronting him on the show. On the show, she drove up to a work site where he was there with his business partner, I suppose, and she confronted him about videotaping her while she was on this date. And his remarks to her were just really crazy to me. He said to an extent that, they were married, the divorce is new, he's never seen her with someone else. And of course, he's going to have a problem with it, blah, 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 blah. And it's understandable, a breakup of a marriage that they've had, family that they have, can be jarring, even though he was the cause of the breakup, right? So his extramarital affair that lasted for God knows how long, and she says, multiple affairs with different women, was the crux of why they split up and why she went her separate ways. Well, she decided to go her separate way. I have a feeling there was more than that, just based on what I've seen of how he reacts. And the affairs may have been the final straw, but Marcel has some stuff going on with him. And I don't want to say that in a way to deride him and degrade him as a human being. I try not to do that, although he makes it very difficult for me for many reasons. So, nevertheless, they broke up. He recorded her on this date post them splitting, and I want to say post their divorce. Then later on, social media, I remember seeing a post that Martell made where he recorded their children sitting in the car saying, I guess boosted him up as a dad, but kind of degrading the mother. And I found that, one, disheartening, because you should never mix your children up in your relationship issues. It's bad enough that the family is splitting, but when you actually pit your child against the other parent, no matter what that parent has done to you, I'm saying your kids will always love the other parent. Even abusive parents, kids still love them. I've seen a lot of that over the years. Children who go through foster care or have neglect hearings in court, they still love their parent. And so for parents who find themselves splitting up, it is best to say nothing at all to the other parent if you cannot speak in a way that is mature and uplifting, and at least you don't have to like them, but at least a smidgen of love. The love that you have for your kids should go forward to how you treat the other parent, because that parent has to be there with your children when you're not there, and you want that parent to be in a healthy state of mind. I don't care who you are, don't care what they've done. You want that parent, when they are raising and caring for your child, to feel secure and mentally stable, right? I said that to say this. The things that I have seen on social media, like I said, I don't see everything. I don't know everything. And I will not sit here and lie and say I know all the ins and outs of their relationship or who they are as people. There's no way I can. It's funny, I told my best friend this some time ago. I have two best friends, a male best friend and a female best friend. I told my male best friend years ago, I said, don't ever ask me to be a character witness for you because I only know who you are to me. I don't know who you are to other people. And I stand on that and I stand by that for several reasons. I mentioned earlier about my past history with losing people to DV. I'm not going to go into explicit details because I don't want to bring this back up for the family members who suffered through this incident. But what I will say is this. I knew someone very much like Martell, very charismatic. Most people would say was a good guy. He's a good guy. Most people would say that about him. And he went through a similar scenario where he stepped out on his marriage and his wife did not want to reconcile. And with her not wanting to reconcile, he kind of lost it. I'll say he lost it. And it ended in both of them being deleted. I'll say it that way. I hate to say that because it seems so inhumane, but it's YouTube and I don't want to say anything that's disallowed. But I knew this person, talked to him, and tried to encourage him to give her space to deal with how she was feeling. So this is very personal for me for so many reasons, and I think I look at this situation with them and some alarms, them being Martell and Melody, and alarms just go off. Which brings me to let me go back. So I knew this guy, went through similar situation, lost his marriage through his own activities and stepping out. Wife did not come back, like I said, and they both are no longer with us. I brought that up because in seeing some of the commentary on social media about Martell and Melody, I see a lot of people recently posting about how wrong she is for having him arrested. I saw and watched the commentary from people who I'll say pseudo know them. I don't know how well these people know each other. I will call this alternative reality because what you see on TV is only a smidgen of what goes on in these people's lives, and it is shaped by the producers. The story is shaped. So you get what the producers want you to see. Nevertheless, seeing and hearing certain people kind of rally to Martell's side from being arrested for DV, I guess I'll call it communicating threats. I don't know what it's called actually in Alabama, and I'm not giving any legal advice here. I'm just saying I'll call it communicating threats. So I witnessed people saying, why would she do that? She's doing too much. Oh, she's evil. She shouldn't have got her children's father arrested. Like, how could you do that to your child's father? And I want to back up and say to these people, what did he do to get himself in the position where an arrest was available to be had? Like, what did he do? So let's talk about what he did. I mentioned earlier him recording her at the restaurant. I also mentioned him recording the children and posting that on social media. And let me keep going because it wasn't just that. He set the mistress up to do an interview with a very popular blogger where she talked about their affair. So now imagine they're they have 4 kids. One child is a brand new baby when they split. So he's pouring this all on his soon to be and then former wife. All this emotional baggage, he's pouring it on her. Remember how I said when you have children, what you want to do is show care and modicum of love, even if you don't like the person, because that person has to raise and care for your children. So Martell was doing the opposite of that. From my view, from the limited information that I have, I'm not saying I know everything, but from what I saw him doing, while also wanting to maintain his good guy image. I remember in the season where Melody revealed about the cheating, and he said, what goes on in this house, you're supposed to keep in the house, basically. You shouldn't have told anybody that I cheated on you. That makes absolutely no sense. Like, you take the blame away from yourself who did the cheating and put it on the person who was cheated on and mistreated, and tell them they are wrong for talking about the pain that you caused. Makes no sense. But it adds up to the character that this man is displaying. And some people still want to hold on to seeing him as the good guy, and they want to be his character witness. Okay, whatever. But the character that he is displaying is of someone who is very image conscious, but has no conscience. And remember I said he displayed the kids on social media. He video recorded her. Let's continue. There are incidences where he had violent outbursts. We saw it. Can't remember what season. I think it was this season where I stopped watching. It was when he blew up on her. I think they were in Las Vegas. And the way he exploded in this woman's face, I found so disturbing and disheartening. And I felt like no one checked him, and that's part of the problem. No one checked him on anything he does. And so as we go, and I'm going to bring it back around to the show coming back on Saturday, May 4th. So he's done all these things. He's also spoken to bloggers and display the court documents, in part from the custody case that he initiated. So they had shared custody. He ended up filing for full custody and asking for child support. They already shared custody of the children, and his excuse was that she had too many babysitters, whatever. If the children are not harmed, and mom is handling her business, and they're being cared for and cared for well, I just don't see that as a reason to reopen a custody case. Like, that's just me. With most courts, I don't know how Alabama is, there has to be like a major change in circumstances. Well, in the midst of these court cases, there came a time where Martell was accused of abusing one of their children. And this is in court documents. This abuse was documented and put forth, I want to say, by the guardian ad litem, who speaks on behalf of the children in the case. They're a neutral party. They speak on behalf of the kids. So Martell allegedly, or by way of court documents, caused harm to one of their children. Now, divorce is over. They're sharing custody. He causes harm to one of the children, and therefore the court decides that the children, probably on emergency petition, will not have contact with him for a number of days. I think he says like 56 days. I've seen him come online and lie, and I'm going to call it a lie because it is a lie. I read the court documents. Lie and say that Melody had his children taken away and she lost all the motions. That is not true. I physically saw the motions and the orders. I looked for the orders in particular because I wanted to see how the judge ruled. So looking at these orders, he was ordered into parenting classes. He was ordered into counseling. If the judge decided that those allegations of causing harm to the child were unfounded, he would not have been ordered into counseling and he would not have been ordered into parenting classes. So please don't let Martell tell you that lie, because that is a lie. The court found that there was cause with these allegations of causing harm to the child. That's just the truth. It is in black and white. It is in documents from the court, right? Like I said, I didn't read all the papers, but I saw the orders and I saw that he was ordered into parenting classes and he was ordered into counseling, which he apparently did not follow through on. So we're working our way up to this arrest. In addition to him doing those things, right? So video recording, taping the kids. He would post the children on social media. And I remember one time he posted the kids when they were cold because it was wintertime and he didn't really have them dressed appropriately. He posted that on social media. He posted the children on social media allegedly with the paramour, I call her the paramour, making gingerbread houses or something. Like, he was constantly doing these posts that I found disturbing because they seemed to be reactionary. It seemed really off. Like, it wasn't a genuine post, and it was always, in my view, using the kids to set a narrative. But that's neither here nor there. The main crux of this arrest, let me go back, I can ramble, getting back to the arrest. The crux of the arrest was that some time ago, I want to say in August of 2022, there was a back and forth between he and Melody online. But keep in mind, the back and forth was initiated again by Martell posting about Melody, her poor parenting habits, and like some other things. And she responded. And when she responded, I'll say this, when she hits below the belt. And she did. And it was like back and forth. And apparently at that point in time, he sent her the text message that is like all going on in social media now, where he threatened to release an intimate recording between himself and her. Only it wasn't just apparently shared with her in the screenshot that he sent her. Like, this is the impetus behind the arrest. It is that threat and that screen recording that he sent to her of the intimate tape. So he did that. And I remember she posted something that said something like "revenge P for real" or something like that. It was something she posted on social media. I didn't see it on her social media. I literally saw it on someone's YouTube channel. So it had just been a whole bunch of chaotic back and forth between them up until that point. And I think at that time she contacted her attorney. But I don't think she initiated the warrant at that time. I think the warrant came later. And this is why. The paramour. There were recordings from the paramour where the paramour had a conversation with not just a blogger, but also with a young lady who ended up doing an episode or two on the show, where she expressed that Martell wanted to set Melody up and release this tape as though it came from another man and it was between she and another man and not Melody and himself in the recording. He wanted to release this tape to cause her harm. And I find that deplorable because this is still the mother of your children. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I don't know a decent human being walking the face of this earth who would do that to somebody and still call themselves a good guy, who would do that to the mother of their child and call themselves a good father. I just don't. Maybe you do. But I do not. I don't know one walking the planet. And I know a lot of fathers because of the work I've done in the past. And I don't know a good one who would do something like that. So this all comes out. And it was, I think, at that point, and this may have been a year post the back and forth on social media, when she discovered and we discovered, or we learned, that he had a plot. It wasn't just a threat sent to Melody. It was a plot between him and the paramour to put this tape out to cause this lady harm. And from there, I was just like, wow, this dude is on another level of dirty. And I'm saying that, from multiple standpoints, because I look at Martell and I see the things. I'm like, Martell, he was a college athlete. He's in a fraternity, the pretty boy fraternity. And, women to this day get online and talk about how gorgeous he is. He is not, I don't necessarily find him attractive, but people do. And with that comes a privilege. So let's spin back. So at some point, Melody initiates the warrant. And she talks about initiating the warrant. And he was later picked up, like months later. And I'm telling you something, I too find suspicious. Like, they didn't pick him up back in August when she filed the warrant. I think they picked him up in January, February of this year. And he turned himself in. And he stated that he turned himself in. He said, "Oh, I found out about the warrant when I went to pick up some record from, I guess, the courthouse or wherever he went." And he was like, "I found out and I had my kids with me and they arrested me." Martell likes to add a whole bunch of dialogue around something, but a little bit of truth often comes out when he speaks. He can't help himself. He's a Capricorn like me. One thing is, the truth will come out. Even as he's shaping his story, he can't hold it back. It slips out. So he gets arrested, and now there's new rigmarole on social media, and this is where they start this new season. And everybody's talking about, "Oh my God, did you see Martell got arrested? And what is this? Oh, it's a phone charge. It's this, that, and the third." Let me tell you something. When you communicate threats to somebody, I don't care if you say, "I'm going to come and blow up your house. I'm going to come and slash the tires on your car. Or I'm going to release this intimate tape." It's a threat. And based on how he has responded to their divorce and how he has appeared to have poor emotional control, there's no telling what he will do. To add to that, there are court documents right now where he is to go and have a psychological evaluation. Now, based on my history, my past, working in family court, that is not something typically that they, meaning the court, would order unless they order it for both parents. In this instance, they only ordered it for him. And based on that, I'm like, why would that be? Well, it would be because not only did he have the founded accusations of causing harm to the child, the school reported his erratic behavior. I think the guardian ad litem reported on some poor behavior. The therapist reported on some poor behavior. And so it wasn't just his former wife reporting on the behavior. There were third parties reporting on his erratic behavior, which bolstered Melody's petition to have him receive a psych evaluation. Because he apparently has just had erratic, uncontrollable emotions. And he's been acting out ever since the divorce. I would wager that I believe he acted out prior to the divorce, and I feel like he acted out during the marriage. I have no proof of that. Take all of this as being alleged or what have you. But I read the orders, and I read the order in which these orders came in. At the time in December of last year, he was ordered to have a psych evaluation. I don't know if he's had it yet. I think the court cases have been put off. Not sure. But nevertheless, he has done some unhinged things. So when the show premiered, this season premiered, you saw Melody with security at her home. And I don't blame her for that. A lot of people are saying, no, she's being extra. No, she's not. And I'll tell you why she's not. When someone is unpredictable and they hold this love and hate and they can't have you in their hearts and they behave in unpredictable ways, they don't follow the guidance, the discipline of anyone. Like, he's not listening to the court. He doesn't listen to anybody, I guess, but himself. And he pops up on her. He records her, and apparently that recording, allegedly that recording with the date at the restaurant, I don't know if that's the only one, because Melody alleges that he recorded her again on a date or at some point on a date and showed it to their children. That is just absolutely ridiculous. And why is he following this woman around? They are no longer together. There is no point in this. But in his mind, I would imagine, and in his heart, she still belongs to him. That is a dangerous proposition. And people will make light of it and take it like, oh, he's a good guy and she's bitter. Well, if she's not contacting him, if she's trying to get away from him and he continues to reach out to her, not about the children, but about petty things or to cause her some kind of harm, I would tell you that security is the best thing she can have, because I've witnessed this too many times where it is typically that guy. He's charismatic. Everyone likes him. He's charming. He's gentlemanly. And I'm not saying every guy's this way. I'm saying the profile of someone who would cause a loved one harm. They're not typically the rowdy person who everyone would think would do it. It's always, well, I thought he wouldn't hurt anyone. Like, I never knew. It's always a secret. It's hidden until the harmed person escapes or doesn't escape. So take that as you will. But I will say this. When you talk about what is going on between the two of them, I want you to take the alternative reality out of it and think about them in terms of people you might know. A couple who seemingly had it all and then that ends. One of them flourishes, the other one is struggling. The one who is struggling has a very high sense of self and a strong desire to maintain a certain image that they feel is being destroyed. They don't take ownership in the destruction of their own image, but they always look for someone to blame. Watching Martell's interaction with his mother actually told me a lot, and comments that he said about the mom and their relationship and how the brother would always get away with things and he wouldn't. And to me, Martell is like a classic case of arrested development. And I don't call people narcissists. I don't even believe in using that label the way people use it. I'm not going to call that man a narcissist. I'm going to say he is a hurt little boy who only knows how to emote in destructive manners. That's the way I see him. I don't know how his mom raised him, but he said some things that are very alarming. Like he said more than once that the children need him more than they need her, or they'll be without her and they'll be fine, or something to that extent. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, but the way he's spoken about their relationship and how his children need him more, and the way he talks about Melody, it causes me alarm. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Because, I have a little bias, maybe it's a little triggering based on past and knowing people who've gone through similar circumstances and didn't survive. But with all of this, I just hope that people will take a step back from the show of it all and think about these people as human beings and what is happening between these two human beings. So when the cameras aren't around, there's still activity going on. When social media isn't around, there's still activity going on because they are raising these kids, and he has already caused harm to a defenseless child. That's in the court records. So what do you think this person who feels out of control will do to someone he has some ire towards? I just wish, one, that he would actually go through and get the psych eval and get the help that he really needs, that he probably is in denial of, because he doesn't want his image to be harmed, right? He doesn't want people to view him as weak or that there's something wrong with him. And it isn't that there's something wrong with him. There are some things that he has gone through that are coming out in negative ways right now as an adult, in destructive ways. And he has apparently no handle on it. And if you can't discipline and handle your emotions, you are a dangerous walking specimen that could destroy everything around you. And you have to take ownership of that. He cannot blame Melody for leaving him. He cannot blame Melody for filing those charges because he deserved it. Like, you can't threaten people and expect them to just brush it off when you've done so many other things. It makes no sense. If I were to talk to Martell, I would tell him this. One, your former spouse has to feel healthy, safe, and secure, because when she doesn't, it pours out on your children. Your former spouse cannot be the target of your hurt, your anger, your disappointment, because when you put that on her, you're unleashing that also on your children. The life you once had is not the life you currently have. And though it may hurt, though you may want to quickly get over it and recover, you haven't yet, and you need help doing so. To be the person that you want to be, you need to get the help that you need, because right now, based on what we see, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know. There's no real way for me to know. Based on what has been shown either in court documents, on TV, or on social media, it appears as though you are in a spiral and you're having a hard time getting a grasp on your foundation. Some of that is not your fault, but whether or not it is your fault, it is your responsibility to get a grip. You have to get a grip so that your children will be secure and healthy. You have to lead. If you set yourself out as this man of good character and a reputable human being, well, you need to get a grip. You need to get a grip on your emotions. You need to stop seeking to destroy. You need to lead. You need to set the tone. You need to establish good boundaries and healthy communication. Those are things you need to do as a man. I know, people say, well, a woman can't tell a man how to be a man. That is very true. But I can tell you the kind of man that don't nobody need. And that is a man who will cause destruction. No one needs that. You don't need to be that kind of man. You don't need to show up as that kind of man. And no one needs that from you. So please take the steps necessary to heal yourself, to build yourself back up, and be the best version of yourself that you can be. You can't change what has happened in the past, but you darn sure can change and course correct for the future. But you got to take your punishment. Like, there's no two ways about it. You have done some things that you should not have done, and people are not going to overlook it. And in order for you to find and reestablish yourself as the man you intend to be, you got to take your punishment, own up to it, and then move forward. Well, that's all I have. I probably rambled a lot. If I did, I may try to clean it up or talk more poignantly about specifics in another post. But for right now, that is what I have. I didn't have a script. I was just kind of riffing. I may watch the next episode. I may not. I really want them to get to a place where he's no longer causing her harm, nor the children harm, nor himself harm. Like, get it together, bro. Like, for real, get it together. Get help. I don't care what I'm going back because I need to say this. I don't care what these people who support you tell you. They are supporting you to your detriment. Martell Holt. I don't care if it's your mama. I don't care if it's your so-called friends. I don't care if it's the women lusting over you on social media. They are supporting you to your detriment. Get it together. Look yourself in the mirror and see yourself as a man and ask yourself, what have I done to cause me to be in this position? And what do I need to do to get out of it in a healthy way? All right, that's it. Y'all like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will talk to you again in another time. Peace.